Brown Baby, a new book by the author Nikesh Shukla, is addressed to a child, his 5-year-old daughter. It discusses the world into which she, as a mixed-race girl, is growing up and the challenges she will face. Very pleased to say. Nikesh joins us on the programme this morning. Great to have you on, Nikesh. Tell us a little bit about the book, Brown Baby. It's described as a love letter to your daughter, but also to your mother, who I understand you lost just days after your first book was published. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, so Brown Baby is a memoir and a manifesto. It's kind of about me trying to explore how to raise my kids to be joyful and boundless, but also realistic about the world, in a world that feels quite bleak and one that I feel very sad and angry about. It's basically about all of the stuff that keeps me up at night as a parent, staring up at the shadows on the ceiling, thinking, well, how do I talk to my kid about racism? How do I talk to my kid about the patriarchy and the misogyny? How do I explain to her about climate catastrophe? And that, these are probably all things that a lot of parents are thinking about. And while my parenting journey hasn't been like particularly out of the ordinary or spectacular, I felt like discussions around these things were things that I was doing a lot. So I thought putting them into the memoir would be a good way of sharing those anxieties with people who are also going through them. But also in writing them, I realized that there was just an absence. My mum, as you said, she died quite suddenly just before my first novel came out, like 10 years ago. It was very sudden. It was a real shock to our family, and just that absence, I felt it so much more than I ever thought I would do when my kids were born, because she just wasn't there. And so part of the memoir became about trying to reconcile myself with my mum's passing.
Nikesh, I mean, a lot of the problems that you've kind of raised, or the concerns that you have, I have as well about my child, but of course I'm not viewing them through a mixed race lens. I wonder how the experiences of your Gujarati mother, who frankly sounds an absolute character from what I've read, how the experiences that she herself had and that you recount in the book, how they will be of note and of worth to others in a similar situation.
Yeah, definitely. But, just to kind of stress that, our lenses may be different, but the fact that these are things that we're both thinking about, I think, bears some highlighting. The book is called Brown Baby because it is about the specificity of raising a mixed race child who will be racialized as brown or mixed race for the rest of her life. But also these are things that, as you said, we should all be thinking about. My mum was she was the one who taught me about the value of community. Like I'm a really strong believer in community and doing community service. It's why I do so much work around sort of diversity and inclusion in publishing, as well as doing all the writing stuff. And a lot of that is because of, what she instilled in me is important. She always instilled in me this feeling that there was a journey higher than my own. There was a purpose greater than my own needs that I needed to give myself to. And without her, I probably wouldn't have thought about things in that way.
Nikesh, we're about to run out of time, but just a word from you about how your children have viewed recent events. Of course, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. I mean, have you been able to kind of broach those topics with two young people?
Yeah, definitely. So we live in Bristol, so not far from where the Colston statue was brought down. And my kid goes to a school that has an association with Colston. And so the school has been really wonderful at talking to the students about Colston and about what he did. And so we've been having loads of really interesting conversations. And what I found actually is that my daughter wanted to know about the Bristol Bus Boycotts because they were learning about them in school. And I started to explain them to her. And as I was explaining them to her, I realized that I had to explain to her what racism was. And in so doing, I tried to explain it, race in a way that she would understand. Racism is something that where people hate other people because of the color of their skin, and obviously I know it's more complicated than that. But she was like, but this is a stupid thing. I don't understand it. This is a preposterous concept. And I started to, put all my cynicism and jadedness and world weariness onto the conversation. I realized that actually, no, I needed to see the world through her eyes. And as far as she was concerned, yes, it is a preposterous thing. And that's how I need to talk to her about it.
Nikesh, I'm so sorry for rushing us to the end. We are just out of time. Great to chat to you this morning. And
don't worry, buy the book, buy the book, buy the book, buy the book.
Maybe what you said. Nikesh, thanks very much indeed.